Hello, Internet! Today we're going to be playing some PlanetSide 2, now out on PlayStation 4, that is no longer being DDoSed. Yay, we can actually play this game.
Finally, there's like 5 days of that, I think.
Aaron Sampson, Ryan Schubert is playing, and what we're going to focus on is, you and I used to be big Battlefield fans. We really enjoyed that model for years. And then that model got kind of stale, and we drifted off. This came out last week, and we both fired it up. By the way, this is a 3-year-old game on PC.
Oh yeah, this is a totally old PC game.
Okay, so here's what we really love about PlanetSide 2 that we feel like Battlefield could pick up. For starters, the large open world in PlanetSide 2 is really awesome. It gives you a sense of continuity, like there's a sense of meaning to it, right?
Right, there aren't like beginning and ends to matches. Like, it's a constantly persistent open battle world that cycles every few hours or so on each continent. But you have day-night cycles, which we're witnessing sunrise here, I suspect. Or no, we're going west, maybe sunset. But
and like, so this idea that you just start a match on a fixed map and you play, and then that match is over, that feels like it's gotten kind of old to me, or kind of stale. Call of Duty and Battlefield have taken that model to its logical conclusion.
Sure, and they've done a good job of it.
But, you know, those games need to start looking in new directions, and I think the massive open world of PlanetSide really is that direction. You know, not that it would have to be as large as PlanetSide, but there's a lot of things that this open world does.
It's sort of like, I feel like the sort of spiritual direction that Battlefield could have gone in, and it reminds me a lot of playing Bad Company 2 when, you know, the whole course of a rush match would take you over hill and valley and through the water and like almost tell a story as you went. You know, sitting down to play this game for an hour or two gives you that too, because the map is like enormous, right? Like, this is the thing, is that it takes place on these continents, and there are actually several continents in the game.
And there's thousands of players.
Right. And they're packed.
And what's really cool is that there's 3 factions, so you're not just fighting one other faction, right? Like, you roll into a new territory and you can get sandwiched between 2 factions, or you can be fighting a faction and they can get sandwiched between another faction, right?
Absolutely.
It's just, it adds a lot. It's incredible how much it adds having that third group in there. Now, not only that, but factions can lock down entire continents, and then all those people from those servers get shifted onto your continent or another continent. So the game just kind of naturally builds. If one continent gets taken, then the other continents heat up after that.
Right.
Now, the PS4 version seems to have incorporated some of the large improvements that I remember weren't there when PlanetSide 2 launched on PC, which is there seems to be more of like an AI director now telling you where to go. So rather than just having players control it, the game actually recommends what the next best place is for you to focus your forces on.
Right.
And you know, when this originally launched, you could drop in, not find the action, and then have to drive for a half an hour to go find it. And there used to be a giant cooldown on instant action, and now all that's gone. So you can just get right in with your team and go. So there's different types of facilities, and you can get into these cool situations where you can maybe fight through a science lab, come down off it, and get caught on a bridge. And 2 large tank forces can get stuck on this bridge, and you need somebody who's basically a commander and this game has a complete chat command structure.
Right.
To be like, hey, no, we need to pick up some galaxies, which are troop transports, and fly over this impasse and take the base behind them, which I've seen happen multiple times. So you have that command structure and strategic depth that you just don't really get in Battlefield anymore. The Sunders are cool. They're an improvement on, say, the Amtraks in Battlefield, because for starters, they're yours. So, like,
right.
How many times in Battlefield have you gone into a mobile spawn point, moved it somewhere perfect and ideal, get out, and then a second later somebody gets in it and drives off with it, right? That happens all the time in Battlefield.
All the time.
Well, in PlanetSide 2, the vehicle that you purchase is actually your vehicle. So you can spawn a Sunder, arm it up as you please, and then drive it into battle, and it's up to you to put it in a ideal location and use it right, you know?
It's kind of like what we talked about with Hardline, how it would have been great to have a club.
So people couldn't move it? There's a pretty extensive unlock tree for a lot of vehicles in this game. You can really specialize, like you can get good as a pilot like you could in Battlefield. But in this case, again, because the vehicle's yours, you get to customize it how you like it and get talented at using it. And you can just be a transport pilot in this game, and you're very useful as a transport pilot. I mean, you can just shuttle troops back and forth to different war zones or leapfrog over an enemy impasse. I will say that the actual cost of unlocks in this game is a little bit out of control.
Right.
You know, it's got that 10-year-old MMO subscription model, which is just really out of touch with reality. That being said, you don't need to spend money on this game.
No, you will get your free-to-play money's worth just with the core weapons and the core vehicles, and the sort of in-game currency for the really basic stuff actually isn't so bad. So you can play basic vanilla PlanetSide without the exorbitantly ridiculous weapon prices.
So it's interesting. This game, being an open world, does have a lot of positives, but some of the negatives can be, on occasion, you can get a couple of continents locked down and have like the fight kind of peter out a little bit.
Sure, and you know that's the thing, is that the thing that your traditional Call of Duty or Battlefield has is that you don't really wait to get in a gunfight in those games.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally respawning before your old body hits the ground.
Yeah, and in this game, you're definitely gonna. It might take a little while. You
also got to think though more. I like that about this game. Like it's more of strategic. It respects your intelligence a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's not going to hold your hand. You're going to have to flip through the menus and figure stuff out the hard way. And also, you know, if you are by yourself and you choose to drop in on a force of 96 guys from another faction, like, you're just not going to win. You're not going to get anywhere. It's interesting. One thing you have to get used to in this game, which you and I have slightly different opinions on, is the fact that bad guys aren't a specific color. So the color that you see, like for example, red is only because you're the red faction.
Right.
And you know, if you're Vanu, you always see your faction as purple, and you have to get used to, you know, games have gotten to a point where they've trained you to shoot red a lot.
Yes.
And you have to not shoot red if you're on this faction because red is always friendly.
Right.
But the flip side to that is you can always see the tracer fire from the other team as the color of that team. So you can almost instantly identify what faction's shooting at you simply by the tracers. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, you have to get used to not shooting a color that you're used to shooting all the time.
Absolutely. That takes time, and if you're making switches like we did, like where you want to find just another server and you know, switch your faction up, because I have a different faction on each server that I play on, and it's pretty easy to forget whose side you're on when you make that switch.
Yeah.
I think about half the time, the first like 2 minutes that I'm on the other server, I'm like shooting my own team because I think they're the enemy.
The factions become more recognizable at night also. The way that tracer fire works in this game, some of the coolest things you'll ever see are night battles.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, giant tank columns and infantry all shooting each other at night, and that, although like the fire going in every direction with the tracers is pretty incredible. All right, well, thanks for joining us. That was PlanetSide 2 on PlayStation 4 and our thoughts on how this could potentially influence the future of Battlefield. If you want to check it out, it is a free-to-play game out right now, or you can just play the 3-year-old version on PC.